Welcome to Math with Michelle, where math finally makes sense. Whether you're tackling high school math or diving into college algebra, I'm here to break it down step by step with real examples and zero stress. From algebra to functions, graphs to equations, I've got it covered. Hit that like button and let's master math together. Welcome to midpoint and distance. When it comes to midpoint and distance, I'm not a big fan of memorizing a bunch of formulas. I like to be able to logic things out. So while there are formulas for each of them specifically, we actually can use a little bit of logic and something else to kind of mix it together. So let's say you have a point C that is at -2, 5, and D that is at 8, -12. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of visualize what that's going to look like. So we'd have to go left 2, up 5, right? We'd have to go right 8, down 12. Let me label those as C and D. So when we think about it, the height difference between these two, because this one's up 5 and this one's down 12, so the height difference is 17 squares. The width difference is 10 squares. So when you think about it that way, if we split those in the middle, 5 and 8.5, then we could go ahead and figure out our distance here. So if this is left 2 and we only come over 5 squares, not the 10, then now we're at the coordinate. We can think about it this way if we want. Here's -2. Here's 8. What's halfway in the middle? Remember, 5 squares each way. So 5 down from 8 is 3. That's also 5, 8 up from -2. So if I connect these, the midpoint is going to be in the middle, 3 comma something. We just figured that out by looking at it. So height-wise, we've got down 12, we got up 5. So that's 17 squares, so 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. So we need to be 8.5 down from 5. So if you're not a good fract or decimal person, if you have, $5 and you spend $8.50, you're in the hole $3.50. And if you're at -12 and you go up 8.5, you're at -3.5. So definitely right smack dab in the middle. So by just kind of looking and logicking it out, we can get the midpoint. However, is there a formula? Absolutely, there's a formula. You take your x's and add them together and average them. So add them up, there's 2 x's, so we'll divide by 2. That gives us 3. And you average your y's. You add them up, there's 2 of them, so you divide by 2, and you get -3.5. So that works the same way. So that's the official midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So when it comes to midpoint, we're looking for the middle of 2 ordered pairs. And you can either do logic or you can average your x's, average your y's, which is exactly what this formula says. So it's up to you. Do you need logic? If you're on a time crunch, maybe one works better for you than the other. So keep that in mind. Okay. So what if we didn't get something straightforward as the midpoint? Okay. What if occasionally they might say, find the point for 1/5 of the way from B to A if A is at 3, -4 and B is at 13, 11. So this time I went ahead and switched to grid paper, so it might be a little bit easier. So we're just going to have to graph those, right? Both of my x's are positive, so I'm just going to make sure that I have a tall y graph, but I'm not going to so much worry about the x graph. I need it to be tall, but not so much wide, mostly first quadrant. So we've got 3, -4, and that's A. Zoom out a little here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's our B. And we want to be, I'm going to draw this lightly, from B to A. So that's the direction we're going. And we want to be 4/5 of the way. We don't want to be all the way. We want to be past halfway, but not all the way, right? So, again, this is one of those things that I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of logic. We could do the midpoint, but if you're counting squares here, or counting squares here, that's going to really help us out. So this is 10 squares wide and 15 squares tall. So I need to do 4/5 of each of those. So 10 times that 4 is 40, divided by 5 is 8. 15 times 4 is 60, divided by 5 is 12. Okay, so starting at B, I want to go 12 squares on the vertical and 8 squares on the horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're 4/5 of the way. And that location happens to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1. So I really feel like that is going to be the best way to do it. Okay, the other thing we can think of is that starting at B, we needed to back up 8. So we'll subtract 8 here. And we needed to go down 12. And when you do that, we can also see 5, -1. So if you know your vertical change and your horizontal change, you can use that to help you get it out. I find when they do something besides midpoint that it is best to go ahead and draw out a quick visual and really make sure that you know what's going on. All right, so instead of just midpoint, you can do other distances, such as 4/5 of the way, 1/3 of the way, things like that. So the other thing that you could be asked to do, because I could have done that from a distant perspective, but I hadn't discussed distance in this video yet. So let's look at the distance from -3, 4 to 1, 7. And this one again, I'm doing on grid paper just to help us be able to visualize it. So again, that was a -3. Draw my axes, don't have to make it quite as big this time, right? So -3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's P. 1, 5, 6, 7. There's Q. And I'm looking for this distance, but I don't necessarily want you to memorize a new formula. So I'm going to bring back what probably is an old formula because you probably learned it in either pre-algebra or algebra 1. And you'll notice that I drew a triangle. In fact, I drew a right triangle. 1, 2, 3, 4. This base is 4. 1, 2, 3. This leg is 3. And now we can use Pythagorean Theorem. If you remember, that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. where c would be that distance from P to Q. So we would do 3 squared plus 4 squared would give us our distance squared, right? I put a D there. So 9 plus 16. So 25 is our distance squared. So we'd have to do the square root of that. And 5 would be our distance. So this is a perfectly acceptable way to do it. And keep in mind, this was at 1, 7. This was at negative 3, 4. If you look at the 7 and the 4, those were our two y values. And if you'll notice, 7 minus 4 was 3, right? And we squared that. Could we do something similar with our x's? 1 and negative 3. 1 minus negative 3. Hey, that's 4. So, and then we squared that. And we added them together, and then we did the square root. We have just reverse engineered the distance formula. The distance formula says you subtract your x's and you square it. You subtract your y's and you square it. Add it together, get the square root. So you can just do Pythagorean theorem, or you can do this special formula called the distance formula, where they've went ahead and they've done all the drawing for you so that you don't have to draw the picture. And they've made this formula to make your life easier. Again, midpoint and distance both can be kind of logicked out just by looking at the graph and using a little bit of Pythagorean theorem. It's kind of up to you. You can do formula base or not. Again, just so you guys remember, sometimes you'll have a formula sheet, sometimes you won't. So your midpoint, if you're not going to use a graph, if you like formulas, you take your first x and your second x, add them together, divide by 2, and then you take your first y and your second y, add them together, divide by 2, and your distance. That's going to be your first x minus your second x plus your first y minus your second y. So if you like formulas, those are your two formulas. If you don't like formulas and you kind of like to visualize it, then great, go for that. Thanks for learning with me here on Math with Michelle. If this helped, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more clear and simple math lessons. Got a question or topic you want me to cover? Then drop it in the comments. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and remember, you've got this.